Well, thanks, Denise. It's great. It's great to have the opportunity to present this morning. I'd like to share with you all a fantastic tool and how I use it to work with individuals and organisations, really to help them realise their full potential. So my consulting practice that I only started in February, in fact February the 17th, not long before lockdown happened, is called Lucy Brown Consulting, Resilience and Wellbeing, and it's based on the principle that the gut-brain connection is at the core of everything that we do with our physical and mental well-being. So whether I start with clients from the nutrition or from the life and career side, we nearly always end up back at the gut-brain connection, because those things are impacting each other all of the time. So I've written a blog about this, and you can see it on my website, and I've put the link to the blog in the notes if you'd like to know more. But basically, what it boils down to is that if you're not happy in your life, your role, your job, your company, you're likely to be struggling with constant stress and underlying anxiety. And this triggers hormone responses and messes with your digestion. And from the other angle, if you're not eating properly, and your digestive system will be impacted and your hormone response to stress will be impaired. So it's all about balancing the two elements. And I basically work with people to help them to improve that balance and hence unlock their true potential. On the life and career side, which is what we're going to talk about today rather than the nutrition side, as well as listening, obviously, to my clients to understand their current reality, their current as is, and where they'd like to be, I recommend that we explore the GC index to help us, to give us basically an impartial view and to add to the baseline of information that we're looking at. And that's the GC index. So let's dig into what the GC index is a little. And here, let me just, this synopsis basically says, the GC index profiles your proclivities, and that's a word that will recur. And that's basically the ways in which you feel most engaged and energized when it comes to making an impact on your world. So when we go through this process and produce the report, the profile will help you to think about how you can play to your strengths and maximize your contribution to a role, a team, an organization, or just in life in general. So that's what it's about. And basically, if you think about what we do today in terms of the tools that are available to people today, things like thinking really about things like psychometric testing, we do all of these things already. We look into expertise, we look at experience, and we look at personality. I'm sure many of you will have done Belbin or Insight or MBTI, maybe even use it as part of your business. But why is this different? Well, what's different here is that we are measuring impact. So what is it about what you like to do, about what you are good at doing, that gives you energy, and that means that you can add value around you and that you're having an impact on the world around you. People ask very often, how is it different to psychometric testing? And in a business context, one of our clients gave this fantastic quotes recently. He said, well, I've never made a business decision based on MBTI, but I've made 3 business decisions in the last 3 months based on the information that I got out of the GC index. And one of the other big differences is, although it's developed by a psychologist, it's not got that kind of scientific veneer over it. It uses incredibly accessible language. And actually, it can be used in conjunction with an existing psychometric as well. And I'll explain that a bit more as we go into it. Here we're measuring something different, as we said, and we're aligning people very much to the outcome that they're trying to achieve by really aligning them to what they like doing. How many of us, I mean, probably us, because we're all self-employed and we're presumably following our passion, but how many people in normal jobs are able to say that they like what they're doing on a daily basis and they get value from it? And I think I've covered most of that. So at the business level, it can provide a joined up way of helping to ensure that we've got the right people in the right roles and are developing them based on their natural proclivities. At the personal level, the more you understand yourself, the more you can control yourself, and the more you can control yourself, the more fun you can have. So developing a deeper understanding of ourselves and knowing what makes us tick can help us to know where we can thrive and where we operate better. This is the matrix that was developed. You don't get classified as a game changer or as a strategist. It's about where your energy is. So in all of the things that you do, which of these would you prefer doing? We don't only do one of them. We're made up of a mix of all of these different proclivities, but where is it that you can contribute most? So it's a simple questionnaire, and it generates an individualized report profile. And this helps to identify sort of where you draw your energy from. In terms of a business context, it's a model. And if you start at the top right-hand corner, you have the game changer. And the game changer is really the ideas person. So they create the original ideas, and they're looking to make step changes, change what's happening today, transform the future with their ideas. If you work around to here, we've got the strategists. They take those ideas and they make sense of them. They build the strategy, they map the future. They're the ones that are looking at patterns, looking at what's gone before, what the future might hold. Around here, we have the implementer. And the implementer basically is the person that's going to be building the future. So they're going to be building the plans. They're going to be putting the key performance indicators in place, the milestones, the deadlines, and making sure that they happen. The polisher is the person that always thinks that we can improve things. So how can we make this better? How can we make this a strategy better? How can we make our life better? How can we make it more fun? How can we make it something to be proud of? Making them brilliant. And in the middle, you always need somebody, whenever you talk about teams and you have these different people or these different roles or these different proclivities, you need somebody that's going to pull all that together and make sure that it's orchestrated, and that's the playmaker. I like this little bit down here. It says not everyone is a game changer, but everyone can make a game-changing impact. So we're not saying that in order to make change happen, everybody has to be a game changer. When it comes to actually driving change and driving transformation, you need all of these proclivities in order to be successful in an organization. Okay, so as just some more explanation of how the model works. So at the top of the model, you're talking about people who tend to be more ideas focused, and at the bottom, they're more task focused. On the right-hand side, the game changers and the polishers, they're more, again, ideas, and they're more obsessive and passionate about the things that they're interested in. And over on the left-hand side, you've got the people who are more pragmatic. Now, John, let me use him as a live case study. We quickly on Wednesday went through his profile. We only had half an hour. I'd normally take an hour. And it's really interesting because although I've only met John twice, and actually virtually, I wasn't surprised to see that his profile suggests that he has strong game changer and polisher proclivities. Okay, both of these, as you can see, are on the right-hand side. So they're on the obsession side of the matrix, and they provide a healthy mix of imagination and action. And this is where John will basically, the model says that this is where John will be happier to play and will add most value. John draws slightly less energy, if you look at these scores over here, on the role of strategist, and his playmaker and implementer are roles that he would be absolutely perfectly able to carry out. But if forced into having to do them, to operate there all the time or for a long time, he would cease to be as effective. And in the longer term, he'd be less fulfilled and less happy. I went through it on Wednesday. How does this resonate with you, and how do you feel that understanding your proclivities will help you going forwards?
I think for both of us, it kind of matched what we half expected. So it was at one level, even though it wasn't full of surprise, it was really valuable. I mean, I think seeing that, there's all kinds of notes that are attached to it, but one of them around, don't expect people to see the world the way you do, and things like that, and looking at where I thrive is in part by surrounding myself with certain people who will take on other roles. So it's just really good to almost like take a step back from myself. And even though there's some things there, well, I kind of know that, I know that, but actually seeing, well, if I know that, then what's the environment, what's the context that I can put myself in where I'll thrive? It made sense, and it was valuable. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. And for me, when I first discovered this, which was back in September last year, when I was going through the whole change and really wanted to change my life and get out of corporate, again, it's not like I learned massive now. I've done every single one of these. I know myself inside out, you know, from all of these different psychometrics over the years. But it really, really helps. I got a 4, and my lowest score was on implementer, so quite similar to Jonathan's profile. But my lowest score was on implementer, and all of the jobs I was ending up, they were always presented as being about transformation and change and driving all this cool stuff. And it always ended up in a spreadsheet with a bed in the corner of the spreadsheet, getting manic about a spreadsheet and the data. And I wasn't providing me with any energy. And I honestly didn't feel like I was adding any value. And when I actually had the conversation with my boss, she said, I've spoken to the rest of the team and they don't see where you're adding value. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not adding value. That's why I'm not doing the things where I add value. So again, it wasn't, you know, it's real language. And if you're an intuitive person, you will often find that the result that you get from the report matches your intuition about the person. But there are many people who aren't intuitive. So it's very, very useful in a business context when you've got lots of people. So I don't just, I'm not going to go on for much longer, but this is what's really exciting about this, as well as being able to use it on a personal level with people and just giving them a bit of insight into what might not be working for them right now. It also aggregates. I'm a bit of a techie. I come from an IT background, and this tool basically aggregates. So you can take the individual, but you can aggregate it into teams. So you can see the profiles of all the people in the team, and then you can get a profile for that team. So for instance, this team has got a high level of game-changing proclivity, energy, and a high level of implementer activity. But it might be that they're sort of jumping around, you know, they have some ideas and then they implement them. They're not really thinking strategically about what they're doing. So if you wanted to add somebody to this team, you would probably want to look for somebody who was more on this axis here and really was more strategic and was looking to, you know, really drive and improve things. So it's a really interesting when it builds up to that level. And you can also build it right up until the whole organization level. So, and as an organization, we prefer, if possible, to start at the top with the exec board, and then you can cascade it into the organization. And then you've got a common language, a common vernacular, vocabulary that people can use in relating to it. I'm actually working with one lady who's a recruiter, and she's retaining me to review all of the candidates as they come through, and also obviously we'll try and engage them with the organisations that she's recruiting with, so that they understand the language, and potentially that could become a lead into those organisations. It's a relatively new thing if you haven't heard of it before, but it's actually already used in 800 organisations of all sizes, many of which become GC partners or GC people companies in their own right. It is getting some great coverage and support from organisations such as the REC, and we're a Gartner Cool vendor, which is quite cool. And the way it operates as an organisation is that it's a partner-based business, so they don't compete with their partners at all. So everything they do is working with their partners. You can introduce people, so you can become a GCologist yourself. You can become a GC partner yourself and provide services as a GCologist. Or you can introduce it to organisations, and they can then train people as GCologists. They can become a GC people company, like some of the names that you saw on the previous slide. So it's a very interesting dynamic. And that's it. That's what the GC Index is, and that's how I use it in my business, Lucy Brown Consulting, Resilience and Wellbeing.
We have a question from Zareen. Lucy, can one consciously step into different quadrants according to the business need, especially if there isn't the needed strength in that area?
Yes, absolutely, and it really helps, because mine is quite a balanced profile, and I think, you know, what we say is the impact equals proclivities and skill set also is experience. So I mean, if you've been around for 30 years like I have, and you've done all sorts of different jobs, yeah, you can't always be on the side that you like all the time. And if you're self-employed, you're going to have to do all of those things, yeah, because otherwise your business won't survive. So any of us can, you know, most of the time we can and will do the things that aren't the things that we get the highest score for. And if you need to, you absolutely could say, yeah, well, you know, we're really lacking a strategist. I'm going to have to put my strategy hat on. It's not my highest proclivity, but I can do that if it's needed. What's important is you can step outside of your comfort zone, but how long will it provide you with energy? So if it becomes your day job and it's not what you naturally like to do, then you might become very stressed, and you know, your anxiety will build up over time. Does that answer the question?
I can relate to some of that for sure. I'm sure we all can in different ways. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you for that, Lucy. I'll stop recording now.